Okay, welcome everybody to, let's carefully put the coffee and art and coloring on a Monday morning. So we've already done 4 parts coloring our, oh dear. And her skin still needs another layer or two of blending. And I've got my, this isn't it, where'd it go? Oh. Anyway, I'm not going to do the skin right now, but it needs a little bit more blending out because I really don't want it to look like fur. I really want her to look, a darker color, but not fur. Okay, let me fix the color. Looks a little flashed out. There we go. I'd rather have my hands too dark than the color too light. I want it to be an actual color. That's a little better. See if I can tilt it. All right, right there is the actual color of the page. Okay, but having all the lights around me so that you can see while we film, it has to kind of flash it out a little bit. If y'all have any questions, just put them in caps. This is a live show on Ustream that I upload the recordings to YouTube. Thanks everybody for being here. If y'all have any questions, put them in caps so I know you're talking to me because the chat really rolls by fast, especially we got over 80 people here this morning. So thanks guys for being here. All right, so we're going to work on the roses, and I might even need to zoom in a little bit more. Let me try. I'll try to zoom in one more, guys, or two, and refocus, because I really want you to see coloring. Let's see if we can get it to focus in here, guys. There we go. Nice and close. Nice and close. Yeah, because the camera does flash it out, guys. Like I said, okay, hang on, guys. Got a bunch of incoming mail. Click, click, click. I should do something about that when I stream because I get a whole bunch of mail coming in at the same time and it freezes me for a second. So let's see. Any other questions? Come on, mail. Light. Light in there. Hang on, guys. Can you hear me? My mail has froze me up for a second. Hang on. All right, I can't do anything, guys, to my mail. I mean, I don't know if can you still hear me in chat? Oh, yeah. There it goes. It clicked in. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, when my mail comes in, it freezes me for about 15 seconds when I get a whole bunch at once. All right, so there we go. So we're going to go ahead and start on the roses. We got roses here. Maybe we should start on this nice big one. And what I'll be doing is I'm going to, I'll pull the page up and down as we go so that you can see the color in different segments. So what I'm going to start with like an orange color because the highlights are going to be almost on the verge of being orange. And I just want to get a base coat, right? So we're just going to base coat the whole thing. And remember, let me show the cover again. This is Sketchbook, Color My Sketchbook 2 by Bennett Klein. And this will be part 5. We did 4 parts last week, and now we're into part 5. And I'm going to try to keep them in about 45 minute segments. So this is the book we're coloring out of. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by base coating the whole rose a light. And I know I say this all the time, but you got to do light layers. Light layers. And build them up. Okay, so I'm just going to start with a nice orange, which this is a vermilion, pale vermilion, just to give us a little bit of color on the rose. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cover the whole thing. And sometimes y'all know you've seen me do washes of acrylic. Let's see, the petals come down here. Washes of acrylic paint, but this is a grayscale. So I'm trying to do it all pretty much, except for maybe a few, like I did some hairs here with some acrylic paint, highlights in the eyes with some acrylic paint, but I'm trying to pretty much keep it all color pencil so that you can see the grayscale shading that's there for you, put there by the artist. Okay, so there's that, and all the roses are going to be red. These, there's a little bud there, two little larger buds here, this larger one, and then I'm going to come down here and just color this because they're all going to be red. They're all going to be red. So I'm just getting rid of the white of the paper. So if you have any questions, put them in caps. And we'll probably work on this a few days. You know, we worked on it last Friday for 4:45. I'm just kind of looking in here to distinguish between the petal and a leaf. And I might get one or two wrong, but, you know, it's okay. I'm the boss of my color book. And you're the boss of your color book. But we're taking our time on this, and so you see in real time how long something like this takes to color. Because, and again, I'm nothing wrong with speeded up videos, don't email me, but when you watch a speeded up video and you see a page like this colored in 30 minutes, you don't realize how long it actually took to color. Okay, I'm kind of trying to see where the leaf is there. This is a petal, leaf, petal. To see how long it actually takes to color in detail and or realistically. I'm just reading chat. Some things get me tickled. Okay, so also I think what I'll do is take my light green, just so I won't be trying to figure out which is a leaf and which is a rose petal. I'm just going to go ahead and color in anything that's going to have shades of green with a lime green, just for referencing where the green will be. So if you just start with a nice light base coat, it gives you a, let's see, is that a leaf there? I think that's part of the design in the border. Okay. Take a sip of coffee here. So thanks everybody for being here. All right, let's go back up here. Oh, I think it's just two different kind of leaves. I was going to say I missed something, but it's just a couple different kinds of leaves. So let's go ahead and I'm barely, no pressure. No, do not bear down on your color pencils. I'm telling you, you won't be able to layer if you get it too built up. If you start seeing wax at the very first layer you put on, you've put too much pressure. You won't be able to blend. You won't be able to blend color pencils if they're built up so quickly. Oops, come back down here. Being zoomed in, I've got to just remember to keep moving the book under the camera. Very, very light layer. Let me show you on my table here. It's just barely, see how lightly that is? That's the kind of pressure I'm putting on the book. Very, very lightly. You want to take your time to build up the layers. Okay. So I think I will go ahead and do another little layer of the leaves. So the greens I picked, let me just go ahead and tell you the colors I picked out, whether I don't know how many of them I'll use or what, but I have chartreuse, which is the lime green here. I have apple green, which is like a grass green. Then I have um, just called dark green. And this is like an olivey color, but it's French gray, 70% French gray, but it has like an olive tone to it. But if you don't have this, use a grayish, a greenish brown, a greenish gray. I just to give it more variety in the leaves. But you can color, just get you a picture out. You can color them. I don't know that I'll color these leaves exactly like a rose color leaf should be, but I'm the boss of my color book. And same thing for the red roses. I have pictures of red roses to look at, so you can use reference to see where, the colors are and everything like that. Okay. So those are the greens. And then the reds that I'm using, like I said, pale vermilion, which is like an orange, crimson red, carmine red. Well, let's do it in order of the how they blend together. Pale vermilion, carmine, which is an orangey red, then crimson red, which is like a red, and magenta, and then black cherry, which is I'm using for the dark. Instead of like brown or black, I'm using black cherry because it's like red. Okay, so those are the colors other than, maybe a little black and white, especially a little bit of white might need to be on the, to blend out on the roses. But you have to be careful if you want to do red roses. You probably want to stay more with orange than if you add too much white on the red, roses are going to look pink. And I'm trying to keep them really red rather than with white and red is going to make pink. So you have to be careful. Not always, Patty. It just depends. Like I'll sometimes start with the darks. I usually put a base coat. Let's put it that way. I'll start with a base coat like I did here, right? I'm starting with a base coat, whether it's pencil or a wash, a wash of light acrylic paint. The thing is about doing a wash of paint on a color book, or especially a grayscale, is you have to keep it very thin. Okay, because otherwise you're covering up your grayscale, which is the point of coloring in a grayscale, is to see the shadows, right? So if you bought a grayscale specifically to learn more shading, you don't want to cover that up with acrylic paint. But the acrylic paint technique gives it that tooth that you can't get with color pencil. But we're doing, that's why it's going to take us even a little longer to do it this way, because it's all color pencil. Okay, we kind of lost a little focus there. Hang on, guys. Let's see if I can get a little bit focused for some reason. Let's see, where's my Sherry card? I got a bright pink card here to pull the lighting in. Let's see. Hopefully, there we go. It's a little better there. Did Hubster come in? Hey, Hubster. Okay, there we go. It's a fight with the light, especially when you have, you're using white paper and stuff. Okay, so anyway, you don't want to cover up your grayscale with washes. You have to be a little bit more careful when you do acrylic washes. Okay, you have to be a little bit more careful so that you don't cover up the grayscale shading, which is the point of a grayscale color book, right? To see that shading. Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and start with the greens. I'm going to do the greens. I'm going to just go ahead and start with the leaves. And so I am going to go ahead and start with the dark now. All right. Again, though, I'm still not bearing down. Even though it's a dark color, I'm going to take my time and I'm going in on the grayscale very lightly, even the little individual veins in the leaf. I'm just barely touching. I mean, I wish you could see how lightly. I mean, look, I'm barely holding the pencil. That's how light of a touch. Such a light touch. So you can go in there on top of the grayscale shading, which is the, you know, the thing about grayscale is the shading. Bye, Hubster. He comes in. It's like drive-by Barb. But I know he's at work. He just comes in to say hi to the girls. Well, and me too. But hi to everybody. All right, so I'm just going to get in there with a little bit of shading, like that. Very lightly. I'm taking my time on this, guys, because I just wanted to. For I mean, sometimes I hurry through a color book page just so we can get something done on stream. But this one I broke up into multiple segments. And again, this is part 5. Come down here. This is part 5. So we're just taking our time. He likes you guys. Yeah, he does. He thinks you guys are great. Because I tell him stories about you guys. Oh, yes. Yes, I do. I talk about you guys. It's usually all good, though. Very rarely do I say anything negative about anybody. Yeah, he likes being your mailman. That's true. That's true. Yeah, if y'all don't know, Hubster's my mailman. Anytime I have happy mail to go out, he's the one that takes it for me to the post office. So again, I'm just going in here. See how far back I'm holding the pencil? Not just for you guys to be able to see, but because it keeps a light touch. If you get right up on there and start doing this, you're going to bear down. Pull back, chill, light touch. Light touch. I know sometimes on a stream we hurry just to, get stuff done in a few hours. And Monday, I stream every Monday. If y'all are watching this recording on YouTube, I stream every Monday on Ustream. And you can find me with Dede Willingham on everywhere. But it's Coffee and Art in the Morning. Yeah, big stories. Oh, yes, you guys have stories. All right, so something like that, just for a start. So can you see the difference now between that and this? Let me hold it up a little closer. Although I'm pretty zoomed in. I think if I just sit it here, it's probably best. Okay. So yeah, very light. And then I think later after we do a couple segments here, because I don't want to say I'm just taking my time with this. And so it's going to take multiple, hours to color it. And so I can't get it all done in a day. So we'll probably do this for a couple hours and then maybe work on another project that I've been requested to work on. So can you see the difference? Look, here's one colored in and then, colored in and not. So you can see how Hey, Crocker, too. Aw, yeah, I know, Lynn, he does. He's a keeper. He's a keeper. Hey, Pam. Good to see you. Glad you could stop in. So just lightly, again, holding it back. If you hold your pencil back, you won't be tempted to bear down. It's just best to layer, layer, layer. Okay. You're the boss of your color book. You can color it any way you want. I'm just showing you a way. Sometimes we use paint. Sometimes we use, whatever. On this page, we're trying to keep mostly color pencil. Although, like I said, I have a little bit of acrylic paint in the eye and a little bit of acrylic paint in the brushing out of the hairs and the ears. But everything else is color pencil. All right, so I got those leaves blocked in. So now we're going to go down here and block in these leaves. Just And that's, follow the grayscale, guys. That's great practice. You know, that's one of the things about color books. I don't care who you are. It's good practice. It's good practice because you can practice your colors, your shading, your blending, all of it. Mixed media, you can practice with your, you know, color pencils, your Neo Color 2, your watercolor, your acrylic paint. You can practice with all of it. You just got to make sure that it's not going through, or if it does go through, you have a card, you know, I always keep a piece of cardstock behind my page anyway, just so that it doesn't affect the next page. But if this is a one-sided page, so you don't have to worry about ruining the back. So no matter what you're using, you just want to make sure that you put a piece of cardstock behind it so you don't ruin the next page, right? So there we get a little bit of dark shadows in there. Thanks, Pam. I hope it gives you good results, and I try to, you know, explain everything that I do. What and again, I don't want to ever say that this is the only way to color, the only way to do any of it. It's just the way I do it. And sometimes, you know, different pages, or I do different ways, but I talk it out. I talk it out loud, so I never want to sound like you guys don't know how to sharpen a pencil or use a glue stick or, you know, spread glue when we do those projects. I don't want to ever sound like I don't think you know how to do that. I just talk out whatever I'm doing. I'm talking it out loud. So it's not that I think that you don't know these things, but it's just what's happening. It's what's happening. It's what's happening, people. Hey there, Angie Bell. Angie Bell's been going to some different shops and galleries and things around her area and putting her work. She has a new video. Well, it's a couple days old now. I mean, the one I watched is a couple. She might even have more videos since the last time I was there. But where she's putting her work in some shops and things. So congratulations on that, Angie Bell. Okay, so you can see we got a little bit of the dark and started with a nice coat of light. All right, so now I'm going to take the grass green, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the dark, kind of like we did this. I'm going to go over the dark green with the grass green and pull it just a little farther out than the grass green, okay? But I'm still going over it. I'm going over the dark green, but I'm kind of blending it out, feathering it out past the dark green. And it's probably going to be hard to see because it's little. I'm trying, you know, I'm trying to let y'all. Okay, so I'm going over the dark green, but pulling it out past the dark green just a little. Let's see if you can see right there. Can you see? It's very subtle. And then I might want a little bit more shadow over on this side of the leaf, so I'll do it with this medium green, if you will. Okay, so I'm going over the dark green and pulling out the light green further out. I think you'll be able to really see it on this particular leaf compared to that one. So let me just... But that blends the darker color and also gives it more depth. Okay, so look at this one that has just the dark, and it's subtle, but can you see where the grass green is over the dark green there? That's true, Crocker 2. Crocker 2 saying there's always new people too, and it doesn't hurt to repeat. Yeah. I get more people saying thank you for repeating than I do you repeat too much. You know, so and like I say, if you ever come upon an area where you've seen it 100 times, you know, because I do the same thing, I talk about the same techniques over and over. If you ever come to a point where it's like, oh, I've already heard that, just fast forward. Just fast forward past that part, you know? That's all you got to do. Fast forward. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, it's coming along. And again, we're taking our time to really get as much, you know, depth as possible. But, to really have that oomph on a color book page, you really need contrast. I see people coloring and they get that first layer, like they get this far and then they just kind of blend it all out and it looks kind of washed out. You have to have contrast in there, nice contrast to make things pop. Okay. And it takes time. It takes time to get nice layers. If you just try to color it all with just one color, I mean, that's fine, but if you wanted to be happy with a lot of depth in your layers, you have to keep going over and over everything. And give it contrast. Okay. So now that I put these leaves in, I almost even want the horn here to be darker. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take even a darker brown. Let me get my dark brown. I'm going to dig around for a second. And always check your penciled names because I have picked up thinking dark brown and it's black cherry. Those two colors are hard to tell just by looking at them. So yeah, I got my black cherry here for the red, but it's easy to mix those up. All right, so, and I got my little sharpener bowl right here. I got a little bowl to sharpen in. Because if I lean over the trash can, I'm going to be bumping into my tripod. We already knocked the camera over once today. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I hope you'll be able to see. I'm going to put another layer. I might even get just a touch of black right in the point, in the very, very points. But let me go ahead and darken it up a little bit, the shadow of the rose. Okay. And then I'll get in there with some black. Let me sharpen and give it some nice contrast. You'll be able to really tell. But also, if you use black like in the very depths of a corner, blend it out with a darker color, a purple, a dark blue, a whatever color, brown, because otherwise it's going to look like a black outline. You don't really want to do that. So if you add any black in here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, in other words, don't just leave it like that. See, can you see the line? See the black line? It's better if you kind of feather out that black and even go over it again. Whoops, let's not do a cherry. Where's my brown? Go back over it with the brown, okay, to blend it out so it's not a harsh line. So can you see the difference between this side and this side? See the difference between that and that? That's what I mean by contrast. See how that pops compared to that? Even though that looked great when we did the horn just on itself, but now that we've added a rose on top of the horn, it needs a little bit deeper shadow. So don't be afraid to keep going back and forth. Okay? Just because you think we have the horn done, as you go along, you might think, oh man, it really needs a little bit more depth in there. Then go back in there, go back in there. So I'm just going in there with black and dark brown to just make it pop a little bit. What do you think about blending with a lot of people, seem to like the colorless blender. I don't. And I also don't use any of the wet, there's the colorless blender that's the marker, the wet marker. There's the colorless blender that's the pencil, which I do have that around here somewhere. I don't have the marker one. I don't think I have a marker one. If I do have one around, it's dried up because I don't ever use it. The colorless blender, to me, the pencil one, I wish I could. Well, it looks just like a pencil. It looks just like a pencil, but it's like the pencil but clear. Okay. And the purpose of it is to blend your layers. Here's my problem with that. Okay, this is just me. If you use it, it works for you, great. I find that it mashes down the pigment because you're smashing it down and blending. And trust me, you'll have the tendency to mash down with one of those blenders. Okay, and it waxes up your layers. Once you do that, you can't layer any. I mean, you can layer, you can't blend. Once you've smashed down all your pigment with the pencil blender. Now I'm not talking about the liquid marker here. I'm talking about the pencil. Once you've mashed down all the pigment, you're not it's there's no more blending. It's mashed. It's all mashed together. You could layer a darker color on top, but you're not going to be able to blend once your colors are mashed down and waxy. Okay? You can wipe away some of the wax, the look of the wax, so that you, like with a Kleenex or a tissue, you can move the wax shine around at the end, but that doesn't make it go away. It just makes it look smoother. Do you know what I mean, Vern? So, which, if you're done with all your blending and you see a little bit of wax bloom or whatever, and you can take a Kleenex and, make the wax smooth, but it's not gone. Okay. So to blend with your color pencils, after it's been mashed down with the blender, you can layer and get a darker color on top. Like I could get in here with the black and go over the top, but you're not going to get blending. The blending depends on soft, unwaxed up layers. You don't want to see wax until you probably have 20 layers. If you can blend for 20 layers without getting wax, you've done it nicely. Not that there's anything wrong if you get a wax on there. At the end, I would take a Kleenex and blend it out. But what my point is, it's not so terrible to have the wax. What's bad is it's that if you get to that point, you can't blend. Yeah, well, if you want blending, then you can't. It won't work, Crocker. Too. It won't work. You've mashed down the pigment into the paper so thoroughly that you can't get that blend. Okay, so I'm just kind of going in here behind the deepest areas of the rose. So I'm going to do this side a little bit so that you can see the two sides here. And what I'm talking about, contrast. How it gives, if you have that contrast, it makes it pop. But don't do a black outline. Don't just go and outline it all with black just to have it dark. You want to blend that out. Blend, blend. And as far as the liquid markers, or I've seen people, and I just don't like putting wet stuff on my paper. Well, I should say, I don't like putting wet stuff on my pencil. I don't mind doing like the acrylic wash. That's like a base coat that I'm putting on top. But I just don't like putting wet stuff like markers, or somebody even uses Vaseline, I think. I just don't. And also that can what do you call it? Not just bleed through, but it can oil up. It oils up your paper. I don't know. I just like, just you use what you want. It's your color book. You're the boss of your color book. But for me, I just like to stick with just the pencils. Yeah. Okay, so you can see here the difference between this side and this side. See, look. See how that just looks so much more depth? Would you, would prices of colored pencil paintings? All my portrait and prices are based on a color pencil portrait. I don't do oil paintings. I don't do acrylic paintings on canvas, although I have done paintings on canvas. I'm not, but my portraits that I sell are color pencil on paper, and I price them according to that. They're not that expensive. It's not an oil painting price, let's put it that way. Okay, now I'm going to get back to my, that's black too. Okay, the dark brown. Blend that in a little bit. But again, guys, it's just how I do it. And, I do a lot of color pencil. So. Hey, Packer Die. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Jean. Yeah. Thanks, Jean. I mean, it's no secret. I charge $100 a face. I charge $100 for a portrait. And I only do one face per. I've had people ask me, well, can you put the whole family on a 9x12? No. I mean, you won't see any detail. I try to do realistic portraits, and I have to have a good picture and a good, I want the face to be, well, it can't see here because I'm zoomed in, but I want them to be, one face on one 9x12 paper. Thanks, Jean. Yeah, Jean has her niece and nephew. Well, I guess her great niece and great nephew. So that's, what I do, because I don't charge for any of this that I'm doing here. I do all this here for free for you guys. So, I got to make some money. I got to make money. So what I do is I do portraits. So if y'all want any portraits done, just message me on Facebook or email me. I don't have a website because I don't. If you want to see my kind of work, the quality of my work, if you will, you can go in my Facebook and look at my portraits. I have portraits I've done of the Gold Rush crew. I've done, like, I think I've done 25 of the Gold Rush crew, and I do a few fan arts just for myself. Like I did Prince for Denise, which I have to get framed for her birthday. So, like, let me show one here. But I don't sell classes, and I do all this for free. So here's my picture. This is the one I have them under plastic right here, but I'll take them out of the plastic. So it's really zoomed in. But this is my picture of Prince that I did for Denise when he passed away. And I put a purple aura around him for Purple Rain. But Denise really loved Prince. And so I did this portrait for her. And just so you can kind of see the kind of portraits that I do in pencil. And I will do fan art for people. Like for instance, I would draw a Prince for somebody, but I don't make print. I don't make prints. Prints. I don't do prints. I only do originals of fan art. So I mean, you can hire me to do a celebrity, but I don't sell prints. Prints. I don't sell prints of celebrities. Does that make sense? Thanks, guys. Yeah, I need to do a flip of some of the portraits that I have, and I do a YouTuber every month. I try to do a YouTuber every month. Let me kind of come down here. I'm adding a little bit extra black, but I'm going to blend that out so I don't have a harsh line. Don't have an outline, a black outline around everything. Blend it out. And I try to keep it just in the very, very darkest dark of the shadows. Otherwise, and you can use dark purple on the roses. I'm going to use the black cherry instead of black. I might have a little bit of black, but I'm going to try to use black cherry for the shadows in the rose, like that. But anyway, so yeah, that's how I make my artistic living, is with portraits. So if y'all, you know, and I, like I said, one face on one page is $100. So, but I do all this other, you know, these other, if you want to call them, I don't know, I just call them demos because they're not really, you know, it's just how I do it. You know, you can do however you want. It's just, I just talk out how I do it. And I know I'm going to want a little bit darker right underneath of the parrot. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And I enjoy it. I love streaming. I love streaming. I love showing y'all everything. And, you know, that's just what I love doing. You know, I've streamed now for almost 6 years, even though I've only uploaded to YouTube, thanks to Jean and Rach, convincing me to do so. I upload to YouTube all this now that I didn't used to. I just streamed and okay, so there, can you see a little bit more depth here? And I'm going to blend that out some more. Same thing for under the roses here. I'm going to blend all this out. See, this is why it takes time, guys. If you want to do, you know, color booking in this detail. Thanks, Jean. Thanks, Jean. Yeah, I like streaming because I like talking. The reason I like doing the live streams and not just recording to YouTube or anywhere, you know, not just recording, is because I like talking to you guys. It's fun, and you know, um, sometimes I can work on my own projects. Now, I don't work on commission. Let me say this without permission. I have had permission from like the one of the commissions I've done, and this one has to go out with three others. So that's why I still have it. You saw me working on this one. So this one I did. I'm just pulling it out of the plastic a little. This one I did a couple weeks ago, and I got commission permission to work on it on stream. But I don't do commissions on stream either without permission, and I really like to not do them on stream because I like the person that hired me to do the portrait to be the first one to see it, you know? Yeah, I like them to be the first one to see their portraits done. So I usually don't stream those. So a lot of times when I, you know, when I'm not streaming, or you see me working or posting on color book pages or art journals or napkin journals or whatever else we're doing, it's, you know, I am working, but I can't do it on camera because I just, you know, out of respect for the person. Especially a lot of my portraits, I do pets too. I'll do a flip for you after this. I do pets too, and usually people that have their pets don't mind me doing those on stream. But a lot of times I'll do memorial portraits, you know, elderly people that have passed away, or you know, children, and you know, I don't, I want to be respectful to the person that you know I'm doing the portrait for. Yeah, I know. Two, actually, three of them, three of the four that I did of that for that those their grandchildren for somebody have missing teeth, and I said, "Well, is that the ones you want?" And they said, "Yeah, they wanted the ones with the missing teeth, so that's what I'm doing." You know. All right, so now to put now I don't want to get carried away with the black. I want to get in here with the brown and start blending a little bit. I'm talking. I got to kind of concentrate a little. Although I'm, you know, I can talk and work, obviously. Bye, Lynn. Thanks for coming in. Thanks anybody that pops in and out. I understand. You got things to do too. When I'm watching other people's streams, I'm always working on something. I'm always working when I'm watching streamers. But I love this my thing, and that's why I think, you know, when I do mine, I think about how I like to watch long streams while I'm working. And so I just figure, you know, I'm going to do long streams so people can watch while they're working. And if you're not a long video person, that's fine. Just fast forward it. Just fast forward. That's all you got to do. Where are you? Where are you, Diane? You're in Florida? Okay. Yeah, I'm in the Atlanta area. I'm in Atlanta. Well, I'm in a suburb of Atlanta. I'm on one side of Atlanta, and my daughter and well, Denise and two, Boo and Cam live on the other side of Atlanta. And then Annie, who y'all have seen here visiting too, Annie and Dan and my other grandson live in LA. And I have videos with them all visiting. I have videos of them visiting. I have videos of course, Denise. Denise and I, when we get together, it's a hoot, boy, I tell you. Kind of like with Darcy, when Darcy comes. Okay, so there you can see that's kind of really starting to pop around there. And see, I can still darken up the horns here more as I go. So for instance, here where the ears are, right along the ear line is probably going to have a little bit more of a shadow. Now, I don't want to go crazy. I want it to be subtle, but you can make it really contrast and start to really, you know, give it more depth. But you build it up as you go. You build it up as you go. Yeah, Vicky BR is not Miss Vicky B, who sometimes pops in. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get my yellow ochre, and I want to start blending a little bit more of because I've been moving the pigment around with the brown and the black there. So now I'm going to go in here with a little bit more gold, so yellow ochre or goldenrod. I interchange them. Yeah, this one's goldenrod. And just, but I can add all these layers because it's such a light touch. Okay. And you'll be able to you can feel it after you've done enough of them. When it starts feeling a little waxy, you need to, be careful because if you start getting waxy, you're coming to the end of your layering. It's not going to layer up for you once you get it all waxy. Well, I should say blend. I want to distinguish between layer and blend. Okay, let me do a little thing right here. Let me get a piece of paper here. Why do we never have scrap paper? Okay, so let's see here. I don't want to put any pressure on my picture here, so let me do it off to the side. Let me do some brown, black, and just yellow here just to show you. Okay, so you get some color on here. Okay, and you can, start layering up. Then I'm going to put some brown. Okay. Then I might go in here with another yellow. I'm just using brown and yellow just so you can kind of see here. Start layering. Blending. You can blend, blend, blend. Okay, I should have let's do an orange in there too. So you can see how colors are blending. Now, I'm not trying to necessarily get it smooth to blend right now. I'm just going to show you how you can blend, right? So you can keep adding colors, and you can keep blending. Okay, you can keep blending all these colors because it's a light pressure, right? Now maybe a little bit more yellow. All right, so this is what I mean by blend. You can add all these colors and you're blending them together. Now, if you get this too waxy, after about 20 layers or however many, depends on your pressure, you're going to you can start to tell it's starting to get waxy. Well, once it gets waxy, let me go ahead and put a real harsh layer on here. Once it gets waxy, you can't go in here now with like a yellow and get it to blend. You can layer, and what I mean by layer is now I can take dark brown and I can put a layer of dark brown, but now I go in here with orange and it's not going to blend. So blending is when you take your colors and get them mixed up. Layer is something on top. So here I'm going to put a black on top. I'm pushing real hard. So I can layer, but it won't blend. Does that make sense? Do you have any tricks in regards to shading and highlighting? Hey, Miss Vicky B. I didn't see you come in. I thought they were just talking about you behind your back. Okay. Let me, all right, it depends on what you're doing. I can show you an example in a portrait, the one I'm working on. Okay, let me, okay. So when I'm doing a portrait, of course, I start on tan tone paper. And I start with a very light, either pencil, usually a pencil because I can erase it real easy. But when I say a light, because you do here. Well, now I'm going to get into a different tip altogether. When you're drawing with graphite, color pencil and graphite they don't play well together. So if you draw anything with graphite, if you're drawing, and I mean, I'm going to show you an example of where I've drawn, so of course I'm having to explain this, which would not necessarily apply to a color book page. But, so if I draw anything with pencil, it's going to be very, very light. Or I will draw with white, and maybe, just like, if I want to draw, I want to sketch out an eye or something, I want to be very, very light, because color pencil does not play well with graphite. Okay, so let's just say, if I draw out an eye or whatever, or I'll draw it out with, I'm getting to the point, Miss Vicky B, hang on, or I'll draw, with a brown or a tan or a light color pencil. But what I do to keep the highlights is I start my drawings with white. I start the shading with white. Okay, with white. That keeps my highlights. All right. Now, if you want to do highlights, are you asking a question on highlight or shading or what? I saw the word highlight. To keep the highlights, to keep the bright, if you're not using paint, okay, again, I'm probably getting on too many rabbit trails because I'm not sure of the exact question you're answering. But I'll show you, I'll show this tech thing I show all the time. Let me get my black paint here. If you have washes of black, this is why now I'm not using it on this piece. Okay, I'm not using acrylic washes on this piece. But I want to show you how you can get highlights. And go ahead and ask the question again, like you're doing in the color page. Okay, you mean how am I doing this? All right, well, I did a whole there's a video on the horn itself. There's a whole video on the horn. To keep the light, then you don't get it too dark. You keep the light of it. So you see I just put this is the start of the rose. The lightest lights, other than maybe a highlight with, like, let's say I wanted to do a raindrop or a real bright, then I might go in there with just a touch of acrylic final, like I did the eye. That's just a touch of acrylic paint. Okay? But if you want to keep, this is the thing to remember. I'll do this little demo because this illustrates it more than anything I can do. Okay, you have a dark black here. This is what you end up with dark pencil alone. Okay, I'm going to take some black acrylic paint on my finger. This is black acrylic paint. Now you got to, of course, let this dry. So I'm going to hit it with the heat gun. So if anybody's using the acrylic paint wash technique that I show, how do you train your eye? A lot of practice, Vicki, a lot of years of drawing, not just coloring, but drawing. Hang on. Okay, but that's a good question, Vicki. Okay, so if you have a buildup of color pencil, so let's just say right here, I've built this up with color pencil, right? I've built this up with color pencil. I cannot go in here with a white on top of this and add highlights. I'm trying to kind of explain this first. Okay, I cannot go in here on this dark black that probably has, I don't know, 8 layers maybe. I can't go in there with white and add white. It won't work. You will not get that bright white back. So you either have to leave it light and work around into the dark and leave the light areas, or add paint like I've added painted hairs on the ears and a painted highlight in the eye. Yeah, well, yeah, you can use pictures of anything, but it's because you know how to see the highlights. Is what I'm getting Vicky's talking about. Yeah. Okay. So let me show you this. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to show multiple things in one explanation. So this is the black pencil, right? Look, I'm going to bear down as hard as I can with the white pencil. Look, all it does is maybe turn it to a gray and pull, see what happens? And of course, you always want to make sure you clean your pencils off to make sure that you don't have any black on your pencil when you go to do another section. All right? That is pushing as hard as I can with white. Now, I want to know, okay, Vicky's stopping me. This is black acrylic paint. Now look, I'm barely going to go on top of this. Look, that's white pencil on top of acrylic. Okay, this is why I like to do washes of acrylic paint. And this is why you can't use white on top of black pencil. Okay, here's the difference. And that works with whatever color. You know, here's red. Red, well, let's get a red that's not unsharpened. Okay, so I'm going over the black here. So you can see it doesn't even, you can't even see it. But over here, there's red on top of black paint. See? So this is why the washes, and it doesn't have to just be black, okay? Any color, any color. You can work pencil, you can work magic, pencil over acrylic paint regardless of the color. Look, see? You can't get that on top of that. So back to the point. The point is you have to leave your lights. If you're going to work just in color pencil and no acrylic paint, which is what we're doing on here, other than a couple of touches, you have to leave your light areas and build them up. You have to build them up. Now, how do you see that? Well, let me show you. Let me see if I still have the picture. I remember well, you probably weren't here, Vicki, but I did a demo. This is the fifth part. This is the fifth part in this. Let me see if I can find the picture of the horns. Okay. All right, so here are the horns that I looked at a reference. Okay, let's see if you can see. Now, granted, this is not a portrait. It's a color book page. But you can still, and it's probably going to flash the camera out. Look at the horn here. See how it shows light and dark? It's not the exact same horn, obviously. It's not the exact same horn. But you see how the lights and the darks are on the horn? Now, there's the horn bend right here, where on here, the horn bend is here. But you can still get the idea. So you can still get the idea of where to shade. Now, again, on this wonderful Bennett Klein Color My Sketchbook to book, it's a grayscale. So the shadows are already there for you. You already have shadows on a grayscale. Well, you already know that, Miss Vicki. Miss Vicki knows that, but I mean, okay. So how do you know where the highlight? You know, it does take practice. It's going to take practice. But at the same time, a grayscale color book, and again, that's another benefit of a color book. People go, oh, yeah, coloring, what a waste of time. You practice your shading, your blending, your color combinations, your highlight and shadows. All that is practiced in a color book. So don't be throwing no shade on a color book. Not you, Vicki. I mean, anybody. Now, I don't know if that was helpful at all. I don't know if that was helpful at all. I'm working on sketching outside for days and look at it and think, Crap, I forgot to put any highlights. Well, you know what you can do? There's a couple things you can do, all right? If you're practicing, all right? So let's say you forgot to put this was some cat fur. Okay, let's say this was cat fur. And oh man, I forgot to get any highlights. There's a couple things you can do. You can either do highlights with like if you want to do fur with lines. Let's do it a little thicker so it shows up, but okay, so let's just say I'm going to take some white acrylic paint. And when I say acrylic paint, I use craft paint, guys. I use just plain old Americana craft paint. It's not even artist grade paint. It's just craft paint. Okay, All right, so now I'm going to just take some, oh, did I dig into the black? Okay, so I'm going to just pick up some white paint. Let's just say I wanted to do some fur. But you don't want the fur, let's just say the fur is light yellow. But you forgot to leave some light yellow fur. Okay, this might be the most helpful thing that I think you're getting at, Miss Vicki. Okay, so let's just say, oh, I forgot to leave some highlighted fur, but it's not white. Now, yellow, you could try it with yellow, but it may not work. It may not be opaque enough, right? But you can do this, and it doesn't have to be like in blocks like this. Now, you can be more subtle and all that. I'm just kind of I'm showing you the technique. You can be more subtle with it as needed. All right, now I'm going to try that. Always make sure your paint is dry, whatever kind of wet medium you're putting, before you go over with color pencil. I'm hoping that's dry. Okay, so let's just say you wanted to highlight the cat fur. You forgot, so you put some fur on with white paint, because obviously you're not going to get a light yellow on top of all those layers. So if you put some white paint, now you can go in here. Let me get a brighter yellow. You can go in here and go over the white paint and reshade and reblend, because you've kind of gone back to white. You've kind of gone back to white. So we're putting in some, I don't want that brown. So you can go back and put in individual little areas like that, so you can get it back. Okay, you could not get that bright yellow on top of this or that. Okay, so let me do one more little thing here. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go down here, and let's do it down here. Now again, you got to dry this. Okay, do not. And I'm not talking just to you, Miss Vicki. I'm talking to anybody. I talk it out loud. Whoops, I didn't quite let that dry before I touched it. Okay, so now I'm going to go over it with the light yellow. Whoops, see, that didn't dry. This is what happens when you don't let it dry. Right there. Didn't let it dry. So this is a good example of why you let it dry. Okay, then you can go in there with multiple colors and shade and blend where you couldn't have done. You can't do that on black paint. I don't know if that helped. It's a tip. Yeah, it's a tip. Okay. So I don't know if that was helpful or not. But Miss Vicki, I say you're doing great on your color book. I mean, what I've seen. So I don't know. I don't know how much these tips are going to help, but yeah. So anyway, okay. So again, I think I even did that on here. Did I do the white paint? I think I did do the white paint on the horns to show you how to bring back some of the brightness. I think we did a few little lines of white paint and then went over them with yellow. I think because to show y'all that exact thing I just showed you, I think we did do that. Okay, yeah. But as far as seeing light and dark and shade and highlights and all that, the best thing I could just tell you is just to look at things real careful. Look, when you're looking at whatever you want to draw, spend more time looking at what you're drawing than actually your page. You want to, and I'm talking about drawing here too. Okay. Thanks, Miss Vicky, for stopping in. Very nice of you to pop in on us. I appreciate any time you stop in. And I hope you're feeling well too, by the way. Have you given us an update on your channel, Miss Vicky, on how you're doing? I haven't seen um, updates. Progress. I mean, I'm sure you're not posting pictures. Maybe you are. Are you posting pictures of them? A lot of girls do. A lot of girls do post pictures. I wouldn't put it past anybody. You can also get a piece of red transparent plastic. I'll look through it. Oh. Yeah, you can do. There's lots of tricks like that you can do. When I'm out drawing, though, I just practice. I just pick up a pencil and stare. I stare. How you feeling, Vicky? Though I know there's a lag. I know there's a lag. So I was hoping to see how you're doing. I'm about a week behind on your videos. Well, yeah, that's what we're talking about here, Angie Bell. That's why this is a grayscale color book. See, in a grayscale color book, you can see the shadows and highlights. That's what we're talking about, the benefit of a grayscale. 23 weeks. You don't post pics. You need a wheelbarrow for transportation. Miss Vicky. Oh well, keep taking care of yourself. Make sure you take good care of yourself. Not posting pictures. uh, okay. Oh my goodness. All right, girls. Let's see what time is it. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop. This is a good place to stop the segment. I need to save the video because we're already at an hour. And it's the way of it. This is how Barb says it's the way of it when you just roll with it. We love chatting. So I'm going to go ahead and as soon as my mail hits the okay, I can move because it freezes me, I will save this video and we'll go on to another part. So yeah. Okay, let's see here. Come on, mail. Unlock yourself. Okay, let's see. Hang on, guys. I'm waiting. It takes sometimes 30 seconds. I don't know. I don't know why it does it. When I get like 10, bam, 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 mails in a row, it does that to me. Okay, so we'll be right back, guys. So here's where we are. We've got some base coating done on the roses, and we're working in Color My Sketchbook, and it's part 5. And I froze again with more mail. Hang on, guys. Bear with us. It's okay. It's all good. Okay. Because it freezes my chat too. It freezes me and the chat. I mean, y'all say you can hear me while I'm talking, but yeah. Oh, yay, Vicky. I just saw. It's going to be a girl. Oh. Oh, congratulations again. I know we've been knowing about it. Okay, I'll be right back.